Hey y'all, I'm Attica Scott, former Kentucky State Representative.
They're asking me about everything, local, state, federal, all the time. How do I do this? How do I do that? Why can't I get a speed hump? What's going on with the consent decree? Hey y'all, welcome to Ask Attica. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning. All right, y'all, welcome to Ask Attica, my weekly podcast where I bring you civic life, politics, community, and I try to highlight and amplify the amazing and good and important work that folks right here in Kentucky are doing. So today we have a very special guest, Mr. Anthony Smith, who is the Executive Director of Cities United. So we're going to get right into the conversation. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Good to be here, Attica.
Yes. So I want to get right into it. First of all, I want to start with I gotta give.
That's an amazing book.
Yes, you got to be of the people. What? You got to be of the people. I love it. I can't wait to read it. So we go back.
Yes,
And
long time.
we go back a long time. We've done all kind of work together to try to strengthen, build up, celebrate our community.
Absolutely.
And so I know that a little bit more than a decade ago, you were leading community safety work right here in Louisville, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that work, though, grew and has expanded in your role as Executive Director of Cities United.
Yeah.
So start with telling us about Cities United and the work that it does, and then I want to talk about how your experience living here, growing up here in Louisville, has impacted your work with Cities United, right?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. So part of before we do that, it's like your podcast is called Ask Attica,
Yes.
but you ask all the questions.
That's a good point. At the end,
We
I
get to
leave it
ask you.
open. Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to get to when you ask
Yeah.
Attica.
Okay.
But no, so I've been running Cities United for the last 10 years. When I went to open the office for safe and healthy neighborhoods inside of Metro government and with Mayor Fisher and Sadiqa Reynolds, one of the first things I had to do was sign up for Cities United. Right, so that was in 2013. Mayor Fisher is really good at reading stuff and then putting notes on your desk and say, do these things. So that was the first thing. I didn't have a computer. I just had a stack of papers and articles and things that he had been reading about violence prevention. So I signed up for Cities United. They host their first convening in New Orleans in 2014. So in February 2014, right around Mardi Gras, they bring a group of us together to go to learn more about Cities United. So that was like my first entree into it. But I walk into the space, Attica, and you could tell that the mission of Cities United is around creating safe, healthy, and hopeful communities for young Black men and boys. That was the mission at the time. And the mission was that's the vision to create safe, healthy, and hopeful communities for young Black men. And the mission was to reduce homicides of Black men and boys ages 14 to 24 in half by the year 2025. So when you walk into this convening at the convention center, you see all these pictures of Black men and boys smiling, you see families. And then when you get to the stage, there's a bunch of young Black kids who are running the show, they're on stage, they're talking. So I just fell in love with Cities United and knew then that I was going to be a part of it. But I was also still good with what I was doing here in Louisville, because this was hometown. So fast forward to 2015, they put an announcement out for somebody to be the first ED of the organization. I was not looking for a job because, again, I was still good running the office and loving what I was doing because I wanted to do this work in Louisville. We were building out the One Love Louisville plan. Waniqua and I was building out the Young Leader stuff. We were doing a lot of good work. And then I got calls to say, hey, are you going to apply for this job? The headhunters called me. And then I think they even called Sadiqa a couple of times. She said, are you going to apply for this damn job or not? So I applied for it and ended up getting it and have been running it for the last 10 years. Started with one staff member, a very small budget, and now have grown to about 25 people who work all across the country. And our real goal really for us is to help communities build out comprehensive public safety ecosystems that really centers those who are most at risk of being impacted by gun violence and think about not only how we reduce community violence, but also how do we create better pathways for those young men and women who are most at risk. Right? So how do you build a table, almost like this table, where you bring in all of the key stakeholders, bring in the families, bring in community members, and work together to create this long-term strategy. Like when we put out One Love Louisville in 2014, it was a 5-year plan. We think every community should have a 5 to 10-year vision for what they want their city to look like for those who are most at risk inside of being impacted by community violence. So my team goes around, helps put the framework together, helps build the capacity of the folks on the ground to do that work and give them support so that they can do this work long term. We know when we come into a city, Attica, that we're going to be with you to 3 to 5 years. So this is not like a in and out kind of transaction. This is a relationship kind of transaction. And I use all of the stuff I've learned from Louisville, from NC3 to the Office of Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods to my time at the Urban League, and all of those stuff allows me to now do this work across the country, right? So it's been a hell of a ride,
I
a
love
hell of a
that.
journey. Yeah.
And you mentioned the 3 to 5 year commitment that you make
Yeah.
with the city. It makes me think about where I work full time. We're part of the Clean Slate Initiative here in Kentucky to try to get, legislation passed for clean slates. And Clean Slate nationally commits to 3 to 5 years
Yeah.
with a state to try to help make that happen. That seems like such a good formula,
It takes
right?
a lot of time to build
It does.
relationships, right? You
Yes.
cannot just walk into a place and they just do what you say do.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
You got to build trust.
Yes.
You got to identify who the players are. You got to get through all the politics, big politics and little politics, right? Because every community I'm in, there's somebody on the side who's mad about the process. And you got to figure out how to get them into the process, how to let them see that it's different. But it just takes time to build that infrastructure, right? I think, a lot of folks want stuff done tomorrow, which I'm the same way. I'm impatient. But I also know to get all the right people to the table, it takes time.
That's right.
And we've got to build the capacity of the mayor, of the city lead, of the young leaders, and all of these folks to really get to a place where they all see the same vision and that they see it as long term. And it's not just one person's vision, it's a collective vision.
That's right.
So we had to be real clear that this was not an in and out kind of process. This was not going to be transactional. We had to build relationships, right?
That's right.
So the team's committed.
Okay.
Most places we stay beyond 5 years. There's some places that when I first came in, and you think about Hampton, Virginia, we still work with Hampton to this day. That's 10 years ago.
Yes.
Right? And, there's no perfect place yet, but we want to get some people to be better at what they do. And it's just a process.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and we got to get through the process.
So I love the South. So can you talk some about the work that y'all are doing specifically in southern states?
Yeah. So that's been a thing that we've been trying to do more of. Like, so we're spending time in Memphis. Like next year, we're going to do our convening in Memphis.
Okay.
One of the things we love about Memphis and the way that they're doing their work is that the county and the city has come together to create what they call a joint office of community safety.
Oh.
So you got staff members from the city and staff members from the county who work together.
Okay.
You got both of those mayors who are working in partnership with each other. And it's the first time they've done this in the country, right?
Okay.
So that's exciting and that's amazing. And then when we think about Alabama, there's some organizers and with Live Free, with Pastor Mike and his group. Oni is there. She's the organizer on the ground. And she's been organizing mayors across Alabama to come together to build out the strategies, right? So now you see Birmingham, Montgomery, and a number of places who are really strong in the work. And it's because this organizer pulled them all together, gave them the framework and helped them move. We've been in Baton Rouge for a while now, helping them build out their work. And Mayor Landrieu, who was the mayor of New Orleans, helped start Cities United, right? So our relationship to the South is pretty strong. I think it can be stronger because I do think that's where our people are. That's where the work happens. And when you think about community violence in the South, it's happening in rural places and not in the cities, right? In the urban cities, because there's not that many, right?
Yes.
So we've got to be able to be different. And it's not like it would be in Chicago. It's not like it would be in New York because it's so spread out and it's just different, right?
That's
so
right.
thinking about how you move in the South is important. But I think also how do you engage the Southern root, like HBCUs and other folks to be a part of the conversation is what we've been talking about with our team, right? But so the South is really a place where we're trying to be stronger at, but it's going to take us a little bit more work.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you brought up HBCUs. I'm a proud HBCU
Yeah.
graduate. So yes,
I wanted to get in when they did. I didn't get in.
Well, that's okay. It's all right. But also to your point about rural areas, my people are from Wetumpka, Alabama. Go visit them, at least
What's
twice
the name
a year.
again?
Wetumpka. It's 20 miles south of Montgomery, so right outside of Montgomery. Very rural area, but a lot of Black folks. It's like an area where Black folks landed, stayed, and have built community.
Wow.
So it is
Never heard
important,
of it.
right, to make sure that we're looking at our rural communities, not falling into the stereotypes that people have of where violence or anything happens, really, right? It's like, oh, it's the city. Oh, it's the city. but everywhere needs our love and
Is everywhere
attention.
where we have been disinvested in, and everywhere where there's been the structural racism that
Yeah.
happens, our people are experiencing this. And I think we've got to get better at understanding that piece of it, to your
Yes.
point. And I think we've got to think about, like, Chicago is on everybody's radar because of their numbers,
Mhm.
which it should be. But
Mhm.
if you look at per capita, places like Little Rock, Arkansas, right, are
Mm.
always on the list. So you think about Delaware, there's a bunch of
Yeah.
places that are smaller,
Mhm.
but per capita they have a high number of homicides,
Mhm.
and we need to be addressing that, right? And I think
That's
when you
right.
think about the South, to your point, you think about the land is owned,
Mhm.
and the history that's there.
Yes.
We've got to figure that piece out, right? And
Mhm.
we got to connect those dots, right? Because
Mhm.
we try our best to connect history to the work, so
Mhm.
that folks don't feel like, okay, we gotta, like, there's a whole lot of things that we can learn
Mhm.
that will inform our work. So we're always trying to connect those dots for the team and for the field, which is why it was important for us to be here in Louisville. I think people forget Louisville Southern roots,
Yes.
right? And forget that we were below the Mason-Dixon line, and that there's,
Mhm.
so we try to make sure people saw Hannah Drake's Unknown Project, and
Yes.
just people just got to be more educated.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of our struggle, is that we forget stuff, or we don't
Mhm.
know stuff, we never was
Right.
taught stuff, whichever
Yes.
way you want to frame it, is that, and we don't see the connectivity, and we got
Mhm.
to help people see the connectivity to all of that stuff.
And it's everything you mentioned. It's not being taught,
Right,
it's not knowing,
right,
right? It's wanting to learn. It's
right.
all of that. Because I know I've been doing this journey this year of going to Black History sites in
Mm,
Kentucky
mm,
because so many people are not aware
right.
because they weren't taught. And so I go and I post about it and then get tons of comments from people who are like, I had no idea
No
Ashland,
idea.
Kentucky had a Black museum. Or,
Really? I
right,
had no idea.
right, I had no idea. Or
I had no
oh,
idea.
you had no idea.
No,
You
no,
said
no.
you
I'm
didn't know.
serious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see?
yeah,
Or, people would say, yeah, I drove by that cemetery going to Shelbyville all the time. I had no idea what it was. And
yeah.
it's where colored troops were
Mm,
slaughtered. So it's
wow.
like sharing that history because we aren't taught it and people
Right,
don't know, but they're hungry for it.
right, right. That part.
Especially in this current political
Yeah,
climate. They're like, we got to savor every
right.
bit of our history that exists. So
Ooh,
appreciate you bringing that up.
yeah, no, no, no. Then I gotta go to
You
Ashland.
have to go to Ashland.
Yeah, I gotta go
Okay.
to
So, all
Ashland. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Someone listening.
Yes. So before we take a break, I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
ask you this next question.
Okay.
So you've spoken about the goal of cutting homicides. This is just like
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the past decade, because I watch your work, I follow your work, just so you know.
Appreciate
But
it.
cutting homicides and shootings among young Black men and boys in half through City United's approach. So what are the key levers you believe make the biggest difference in achieving
Mm,
that goal? And can you share an example from a city where these levers have made an impact?
yeah. So I think at the end of the day, Attica, when that vision was put together in 2011 by the founders of Cities United, it was a big audacious kind of goal. Uh, and we started seeing progress in 2019, right
Okay.
before COVID.
Hmm.
So we used CDC numbers when we were looking at that, and at the time we were losing 14 young men every day to gun violence in this
Mm.
country, right?
Mm.
So we were tracking this ideal of, like, how do we take it from 14 to 7?
Mhm.
When we got to our convening in 2019, we hosted our convening in Hampton, Virginia. It was also the same time we were commemorating the 400 years of when Black folks came to this continent. So we were right on the same beach, and we were trying to have this conversation again, tying the history back.
Yeah.
So when we looked at the CDC data at that time, we had moved from 14 to 12,
Mm.
right? So we were saving more
Yeah.
lives. We were making sure more young folks. Then COVID hit,
Mm.
and the world changed completely, and we saw homicide numbers skyrocket.
Mm.
Uh, and when we went to Toledo to start working with Toledo, Ohio,
Mhm.
Toledo jumped from 40 something homicides to over 70
Oh my
homicides
goodness.
in a year,
Wow.
right? And
Yeah.
most of those homicides were young kids.
Mm.
So we went in and started working with Toledo and helped them put their infrastructure in place.
Okay.
What happens, what's the levers really are political power, like
Mm.
political will
Yes.
and political leadership that matters. So the
Mhm.
mayor of Toledo, Mayor Wade, was really clear that this was an issue that he wanted to figure out and he
Okay.
was going to invest in it. So he created an Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, hired Malcolm Cunningham to lead that. He invested in building out the violence interruptions and the street outreach work, the
Okay.
CV community violence intervention
Mhm.
work. He brought people to the table. He used his platform.
Mhm.
He used his resources,
Mhm.
and he was always trying to figure out how to do it better
Okay.
and how to move the issue. And they've been seeing a reduction, right? They went again from 70, because that's a high.
Yeah.
What we try to do, though, to make sure people get a really, really good sense of their data is we ask them to think about their data in 10 years.
Mhm.
Like, let's have a historical look, right?
Yes.
Not just year to year,
Mhm.
because you can get confused year to year.
Yes.
But they are now back to their norms,
Okay.
but also seeing the numbers go down. So it's about political will. It's about bringing the public to the
Yes.
table. It's about centering those who are most at
Mhm.
risk. But you also got to invest.
Yeah.
You got to invest the resources, right?
Mhm.
You got to be in it for the long haul. And also, when we got to Toledo, Attica, we were working with their council members. They have 12 councils.
Okay.
Council members. 4 council members were on our side when we got there, right? We have every time we would present, we got all kind of pushback. But when they went to vote and put their plan in front of the council, they got 12 votes that said we
Wow.
agree
Look at
with
that.
this. But it's about building that
Yes.
infrastructure, building that relationships, and building a network of folks who can also vouch that the work works,
Yes.
right? So they meet every month, 6 o'clock on the second Tuesday or whatever day. It's a consistent, and Malcolm and his team runs it. They also have violence interrupters inside the school system, so they
Okay.
brought the school in.
Yes.
They're working with the courts, right, so that they can get folks diverted. They're working, so they're just consistently finding ways to build.
Okay.
They'll tell you they're not perfect, but they got work to do. But when you think about like what works, that's what works.
Yes.
Is you got to put the right infrastructure in place. You got to have the right leadership in place. And leadership's got to see this as a thing that's for the community and not for their next election.
Yes.
Right. And I think Mayor Wade saw he could do something different, and he put some stuff together. It was him and then Councilmember Whitman who called us in
Okay.
to have this conversation inside of Toledo, right? So that's a place that we've seen success. Lexington, Kentucky, right up the street.
Yeah.
With Devine and his team
Yes.
and Mayor Gordon,
Yeah.
when she came in, she's like, let's invest. And she's invested in Devine, Larry, and that whole team of One Lexington. And they had an issue with a high level homicides 18 and over. 1 year they had 24. They put a strategy in place and dropped that 50%.
Wow.
And it keeps seeing
Look at
reductions,
that.
right? So it's like right up the street.
Yes.
But it's about leadership. It's about this infrastructure. It's about investment. And it's about bringing community together.
Yeah.
And I think you can see that multiple places across the country. You can talk about it in Baltimore. You can talk about it in Newark.
Yes.
You can talk about it in Lexington. I mean, just numbers of
Yes.
cities. But it's got to be a consistent investment.
right.
Philadelphia has saw some huge investments and reductions in their stuff because the mayor, before this current mayor, she just continued to put big investments in the pocket, right? So it's about investing and then tying it to a plan.
I like
At the
that.
end of the day, it's what I think it is. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to me, what you just shared reflects on the 3 to 5 year
Yeah.
commitment, right? None of it sounds like it happened overnight.
It
That it
can't.
took time,
It takes
right?
time.
Right.
But
You don't
gotta
turn
you
elected officials overnight, right? You don't get 8 more to come on
that's
your
a
side
process.
overnight, right?
And you get the media on your team when they,
Yes.
right? So you
Yes.
gotta, the media dogged us out when we first came.
Mhm.
Who's this group coming out of Louisville? Louisville's numbers look like this.
Right.
How are they gonna help us out? They
Yeah.
didn't know we wasn't working with Louisville.
Right.
Right? The city of Louisville doesn't work with Cities
Right.
United like that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I gotta defend that,
Mhm.
but I also gotta continue to just stay focused on our infrastructure.
Mhm.
And when I have a mayor and a community that buys into it,
Mhm.
everybody else will come along,
That's right.
right?
Exactly.
So I think that's how that works for us.
Okay. We're gonna go to a break in just a minute, but I do want to ask
Yeah.
you: are there some myths that you've seen busted in the work that you've been doing? Because I'm just thinking about everything you shared. I'm like, there have to be some myths that you went into the work and you're like, oh no, we're busting that myth.
I think the biggest myth that we're trying to bust and we have been getting better at is what public safety is.
Yes.
Right? There's this ideal that public safety is only about law enforcement, only about jails, only about detention centers. And when we talk about public safety, we talk about public safety as affordable and quality housing, quality education,
Yes.
access to food, access to mental health and physical health, and spaces like this inside of the Goodwill, right? It's like, this is what the safety, this is what public safety is. And if we can get people to believe in public safety as a bigger net, then we can reinvest our dollars, right? So I think the biggest myth is what is public safety, and that's what we're busting. But also that our young people don't want to be a part of the solution.
Yes.
Young people, every city, so we've been on this Leading the Way tour, we can talk more about the break. We pull groups of 15 young people together, and every group, we've been in 11 cities so far after this year. Every group tells us the same thing. One, they want mentors, so they want adults to be in their life.
Yeah.
I don't care what any of these adults say.
Right.
These young people want you
That's
to be
right.
a part of their life,
Mm,
but they also want to be a part of the next generation. So they say to us, we need mentors, but
hmm
we also want to be mentors.
Yes.
So you can't tell me young people don't want to be,
That's
especially
right.
young black people,
That's right.
don't want to be a part of the solution
hmm
because everyone I meet is hungry for more. They're just waiting for us to give them the opportunity, and
hmm
we don't give them the opportunity.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So that's the biggest myth. That
Yes.
and what public safety is.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Folks, stop talking bad about our young people and instead love on them.
That's all
Mentor,
they
support.
need.
Yes. All right.
And invest. Pay them money.
Invest, pay them some money. Exactly. All right, y'all. This is my guest, Mr. Anthony Smith, Executive Director of Cities United, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Healthy Business Connect Us empowers families to thrive through holistic well-being, early child development, and accessible health care.
We are committed to fostering connections, knowledge sharing, and support networks that enhance the physical, mental, and emotional health of children, parents, and caregivers.
By building bridges between healthcare providers, social services organizations, educators, and families.
We aspire to create a world where every child experiences a healthy and nurturing start.
Setting the foundation for a brighter future.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Ask Attica with my guest, Mr. Anthony Smith, Executive Director of Cities United. So, this next question kind of goes back to conversations we had maybe in the very early years of either you being at Cities United or City of Louisville. I can't remember now because COVID brain. But we've been talking about narrative shifts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Cities United emphasizes a holistic public health approach to violence prevention.
Yes.
Interrupt violence, dismantle systems, and invest in communities.
Absolutely.
So, how do you balance immediate intervention efforts
Mm-hmm.
with longer term investments in systems change, culture shifts, and narrative change?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we think communities can do all of that at the same time, right? I think what people get caught up in is that you got to do one or the other first. Like I talk to a lot of folks in the field, especially academics, and what they'll tell me is that you don't have to solve poverty to end violence. Like you don't. But solving poverty would end violence completely, right? So let's figure out how to do both ends. Like so, when we talk about interrupting, dismantling, and investing, we're saying to folks that one, you got to have a strong CVI, community violence ecosystem, that will identify and engage and support those who are at risk today. Because there's men and women who are at risk of being shot and are shooting somebody. Like right now in Louisville and any other city that we're in, there's some folks who are skilled, like Dr. Woods, Mr. Norman, Miss Deborah. There's some folks in this city, Dre, who could identify those folks today and then have the right skills to de-escalate and then to build the relationships to then say to the folks over here who are doing the dismantling and the investment, these young men and women are now ready to go to work. They're ready to go back to school. So the system's got to be working together, and you got to be dismantling that system at the same time, because what happened was is these young people are where they are because of systems, right? Systems have pushed them out, systems have kicked them out, systems have said you're not whatever they've done, right? But now you want me to trust again. So when Dr. Woods brings me somebody to go get their GED, that GED program has got to be ready to move.
That's right.
When that young person ready to move. Like if that young person says I need a job, the systems have got to be ready to get them a job, not a 12-week training program, a job. Right. So working in all of that stuff together. So I believe we can do all of that at the same time, Attica. It's just not everybody doing the same thing. So if we can create a system where my lane's real clear, your lane is real clear, and your lane is real clear, then these young people should then have pathways that allows them to, one, stay safe, two, figure out, okay, cool, I don't need to carry this gun or do the things that are getting me in trouble anymore. And then three, I'm ready to get back into whatever this productivity means. Like I want to go to school, I want to get a job. Then we got all of that stuff working at the same time, right? And there's some folks who we just got to be okay with them not using their gun is the only thing that we're gonna get done.
Right.
Right. But in society's
That's
mind,
huge,
that's
though.
huge. But we don't see that as a win. Oh, they didn't get a job. They didn't go to school. They didn't buy a house.
Yes.
They're alive.
Thank you.
And they're not killing anybody else.
Thank you.
So that's a win.
And they haven't done those things yet.
Right. So let it be.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's some folks who are looking for a pathway and looking for somebody to help them figure something out. And we need a group of people who are consistently. Now, here's the thing that I think is troubling with most places we go into. Most folks just don't believe in outreach and organizing.
Right.
We don't invest in it. Like when I left the city, I told Mayor Fisher, I told the superintendent, I told anybody who would listen that if you truly want to make a difference, you got to have an organizing team.
Yes.
A team that you just pay to be in community, to organize, to share information that's trusted.
That's right.
Right? Because they don't believe everything y'all say is true. But if you got a team of folks who they do trust, and you actually are going to do what you say you're going to do,
that's right.
then you can change things. So I think what people in this book, you got to be other people are those trusted messengers who can tell people the right things and get them to move.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So these folks know people. They understand the networks. They understand community. And I think Dre was the one who formed this. He's like, you got to be other people. You got to understand the language. You got to understand the culture, and you got to understand how to help people move things forward.
Yes.
And I think I think systems just don't know that. And when things are not right for systems, they just say it's the people. They just don't want it. And it really is it's us because we didn't do the right thing on our end to set it up right. So for CU, when we think about like the immediate needs, that's where the interrupting the cycle of violence comes from. Dismantling the systems as a longer term, more upstream work that we got to do. And then the investment into the new infrastructures is that we now know that public safety don't mean what it means, so we can invest our dollars differently.
That's right.
Because most of the budgets in most cities we go into go to public safety.
Yes.
And most of the public safety that goes to is reactionary.
Yes.
And it doesn't do anything for the community except for when something happens. And we need to be more upstream, preventative and interventionist.
Yes.
And I think that's where we get to a different place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Powerful. So next week I will be in St. Louis at a conference with Race Forward. It's called Just Narratives for Racial Justice. So, and we talked a long time ago about shifting narrative, changing the narrative. How is Cities United working to help change the narrative around violence and the way that people look at, especially young Black men, and violence?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? So 3 years ago, we decided to invest in a team of folks. So there was a department. It was a department of storytelling and narrative change. Right. So we hired folks to come on. That's now been changed to the Department of Impact.
Okay.
But we still have a director of storytelling and a director of narrative change. And even we've got a director of innovation and research, and her whole job is to help us navigate these changes. So for me, and the way I think about it, I believe you got to be repetitive with a lot of stuff. I tell my team all the time, I don't give a damn how many times you say it again so that people understand it. So you will never hear us talk about gun violence. It's community violence.
Yes.
You'll never hear us talk about community safety as public safety. Folks don't invest in community safety. Right? They think community safety is weak. They think it's soft. They don't think nobody's been held accountable. But if you think about the infrastructure that we're talking about, it's this infrastructure of accountability, it's infrastructure of restoration and restorative, but it's got to be a part of the public safety ecosystem. So we're real clear about that. We talk about young Black leaders instead of calling them youth, calling them whatever. It's like these are young Black leaders who are doing the work. So language is important for me and important for the organization. So when we go into a place, we start with that. We start with our foundation around this is what this is how we talk about it, and this is how we do it. Courtney Scott on our team has been doing narrative change workshops in each of the places that we go into. Part of our conversation is how do we get to the mayor's comms person, help them write their press releases, help them do the mayor's remarks. I really want to get to a place, Attica, where I'm helping them write their State of the Union addresses, right? Their State of the City addresses. Like, I think that's how you change language. But what I'm actually trying to talk to Courtney about now and her team is like, okay, how do you build relationships with the media, right? What does that look like? And how do we do media training? Can we get some media fellows in? Can we help media be better? I really think there's something for us around public radio. I think there's something around public TV, right? There's just things that we need to be more into. So for us, it's huge.
Okay.
That's a big place that we're working with the Perception Institute, which is where Sadiqa Reynolds was the CEO for a while. And they help you do messaging platforms and all of this stuff like that. So we're trying all the things we can. But that when you talked about that myth, this mental model of what public safety is in this country is a hard nut to crack.
Yes.
Lastly, I'll say to you, this Leading the Way tour that we've been on, one of the things we've been doing is identifying young black photographers and videographers in each city.
Yes.
And the beauty of it is, Attica, we've identified in every city we've been in, there's been black men behind the camera, young black men. So I'm in this mindset right now. Okay, cool. We now have relationships with these 12, 11 young black men. What do we do with that? How do we help them tell the story in their cities?
Yes.
And then how do we take what they put together and make it into a bigger thing, right? So I'm trying to say, do we have them do 10-minute documentaries in each city? And then do we put it all into one thing? So I'm trying to see if we can bring them all to Louisville, have a conversation with them. And a lot of them didn't even know about the work that was happening in their city.
Right.
And now they're connected in a different kind of way. But on the tour, we've been clear that everybody we work with, from the vendors to the videographers and to the spaces, have got to be black folks, right? We want to spend our money with black folks in those places. But I just I woke up one day and I'm like, I've had 11 young black men behind these cameras. That means something.
Yes.
I don't know what yet, but it means something.
Yes, it does.
And there's a story there. And there's stories there. So when you talk about narrative, this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're using their phone, they're using their cameras, they're using podcasts, they're doing all of these things. We just got to uplift them in a different way.
Yes.
So I don't know what to do with it yet.
I know,
more
right?
to come.
No, I'm loving it because I'm thinking about photo boys, and then our producer has had, I think, 2 or 3 young people, young men, black men, shadowing him through the course of this podcast, so they can learn what he's doing. So
they want it.
I love all of that, and the connectivity. They want to be community documentarians.
That's it. They want to tell the story.
Yes.
And they want to tell the story the way they see it.
Yes.
And not the way that the media portrays it.
Exactly.
Right. So I want to figure out how we support them. But also there's a network there. Right. And I want them all to be at the convention next year in Memphis, right? So that they can document their own cities.
That's right.
I think so. It's just some power there. I just don't know what to do with it just yet.
Okay.
So yeah. So there's more to come.
Okay. So narrative.
Yes.
You talked about shifting the language from gun violence. So thank you for that lesson. I appreciate that. You talk about community safety, which is the language that I've been using for a long time. I'm like, we got to shift away from public safety because this is about all of us. It's about the collective. When we say public safety, you're right. It makes people think of only one thing.
And but we're in the process. We want to co-opt public safety, right? So we use public safety loudly, right? Because I think while community safety is good for community, it's not going to get funded.
It's not, because most people don't even know what it is either, right?
Like, I don't have the time to explain it. I'm just going to say this is public safety, and this is what we think public safety is. And 9 times out of 10, there's not been no pushback from law enforcement, from elected officials to community. They just want to know how they implement it.
That's right. Exactly. And then the other you talked about was around young black people, right? And versus youth in general. I remember having an intern when I worked at Kentucky Jobs with Justice who came in and really helped us all to reclaim black, right? Because at the time we were all saying African American because we didn't want anybody to be uncomfortable. That was why we were saying African American.
That's why we started going with boys and men of color, BIPOC, all of that.
All of it. We don't want them to be uncomfortable. But she was young and she was like, no, we are black and we should own that because there's power in it. So, I'm glad that you all are doing that.
Yes, at the end of the day, it's like, we know when we go to certain communities, on a national level, young black men and boys ages 18 to 35 are most at risk of being impacted by community violence, right? If we're going to be clear about what it is, it's community violence. So why would we not talk about who's impacted the most? And if I'm in Austin or somewhere in Texas, a place like that, then it becomes black and brown. Because that's true, right? But majority of the cities that we're in, the number one person who's most impacted by community violence is a young black man. So why would we not? If we believe data matters, there's not a city that you go into that they don't tell you data matters.
Right.
Why would we not have that conversation and be real honest about it? Now, I was presenting somewhere in Virginia to council, And when all of the shifts started happening in the new administration, they were asking me the same question: Are you all going to continue to talk about black folks? I'm like, I don't see how I not.
That's right.
I think it's disingenuous for me to go into a space and say, hey, we need to reduce community violence for everybody.
Right.
But everybody don't experience community violence the same way. Then if I'm talking about gun violence as a whole, that means homicides, suicides, and accidental shootings. That's a different landscape. But if we're talking about community violence only, we got to talk about black folks.
That's right.
So it's even hard for my team members at time to stick to that script because I think we want to be not offensive.
Yes.
We want to be inclusive.
Yes.
But I think black folks have always been so inclusive that we forget to take care of ourselves, right? And it was like, we got to be okay.
Yes.
But saying we've got needs, we've got concerns as black folks. How do we talk about that and what does that look like?
Exactly.
That don't mean I don't like brown folks. That don't mean I don't like white folks. It just means what I do on a day to day is stopping young black men and boys from dying.
That's right.
That's my job.
That's exactly right. All right. So I'm going to work on my community violence public safety language because I have to do a mental shift because public safety means something else to me too. So I got to do that shift too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But that's where the funds are. Remember the
Right.
budget.
You're right. You're right. Exactly. You're right. All right. So before we go on a break, I have another question for you. So leadership and civic education are vital to the work of building young leaders, engaging elected officials, and shaping policy and culture, which you all do at Cities United.
Yeah.
So what do you believe are some of the most underappreciated pieces of civic engagement that could transform how public safety is approached? And I'll ask you some more questions after that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So what are the key? What did you say?
So what do you believe are some of the most underappreciated pieces of civic engagement that could transform how public safety is approached?
So again, this is I've been talking about this for a couple of years, right? So I got to a place, Attica, where I got tired of talking to people about what this work is. I didn't believe people cared, right? It's like, so I just got really burnt out of being in rooms talking about this issue and looking at the room and it just got blank faces. It's like, why are you talking to me about this, right? So I just got tired. And I got to a place where I was really frustrated with white folks, I'm going to be honest, right? Really frustrated with white folks around their lack of empathy for this issue that we're talking about.
Okay.
I got invited by Ron over at the Community Foundation of Louisville to come and talk to all of his, come to talk to all of the fund holders at the Community Foundation, folks who have their own funds and they want to present. And it was mostly white folks, mostly older white folks. And I went into the room in my frustrated mode, right? To have this conversation with them around what they could do different to help us save more lives and create better pathways. I took Dr. Woods with me. I took Miss Deborah with me. There was a brother who was working at Legal Aid Society. Can't remember his name. But
who was doing some work in the West End?
He was doing work with around gun violence prevention. I think he might have been in the West End, but it was more so around policy work around gun violence stuff, which was really cool. And we've got to have a conversation with folks that reignited the need for conversation, which is when you talk about one of the most underutilized things is that people don't do this enough, right? When you talk about civic and education and civic engagement, you got to have conversations with people. And you got to have conversation with people who don't always think the same way you think, don't look the same way you look, don't live the same places you do. So I think one of the biggest missed things that we do around civic engagement and education is just don't have enough conversations. I also think we don't do enough of helping educate people around who does what. Like, when every city we go into, everybody's mad at the mayor. Like, I can get that. But is the mayor the only person who we need to be having conversation with? Like, what's the mayor's job? What's council's job? What's your state representative's jobs, right? What's your federal? We don't train our people. We don't educate folks on, like, who do you need to talk to for what? What is the school board responsible for? Like, when do you need to go have a conversation with them, right? So when I'm going to a city, like, if we were just in Memphis, we were talking to the mayor and his team. And the mayor was talking about the deployment of the National Guard. He's like, I can't really stop that. We've got the governor wants it, the president wants it. I can't say no to that. Now, my job is to protect my people so that we can be safe and we can get through this. And I think people want you to fight those kind of things when that ain't the right fight. There's another thing to do, right? So it's like, how do we help people just understand how the political engine works and runs? And I don't think we do a good enough job. I know schools don't do a good enough job, and I think community's not doing it. And me and you have talked about that before. It's like, what's the civic leadership? What's the civic education are we giving to our people so that they understand which thing, who you go talk to for what? Like, you were on council. I worked in the mayor's office. The mayor can do certain things, puts the budget in front of y'all, but y'all didn't mock it up.
Right.
But then people are mad at the budget over here. But it's like, everybody, there was 27 people who had a say in this budget. So y'all got to figure out like what's what. Like, you don't know what was printed. You just know what came out.
That's right.
But you got to know the whole process. So I think that's a big thing that we don't do well.
Okay.
We don't tell people the process.
I agree.
And the process is important.
Yes, it is. That's one of the reasons I launched this year Civics in 60. So in 60 seconds on video, I educate people about how your Metro Council works, how your school board works, how is the county clerk's position going to be filled, budgets, how do you get budgets passed. So in 60 seconds, because I know people's attention span, because we have a lot going on.
Like, Schoolhouse Rock.
This is kind of like Schoolhouse Rock. Yeah. Do you know the theme of that, Mr. Producer? Schoolhouse Rock? You know what? Don't worry about it. We're going to move on. But yeah.
But no, I love that. And I think we got to do more of that.
Exactly.
We got to do that in churches. We got to do that in the faith. Like, everywhere we go, our kids should be understanding how to be engaged civically.
Exactly.
And what does that look like, and what does it mean?
Yes.
I don't need you to be a politician, but you need to understand how it works.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's a lot of work.
It is. But I've also seen, because of that education, people get more engaged.
Oh, absolutely.
Because now I know, and I don't feel unaware, and I don't feel like I'm just sitting here, I don't know what's going on. Nobody told me, so I'm not going to do or say anything. Versus, oh, I know that's not how you're supposed to be doing it.
Right. Let's have a conversation.
Yes, exactly. So
and let me go tell my friend, right? So we can go together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So educate our kids, y'all.
That's right. Okay, so speaking of our young people, how do you support young people who, kind of going back to what we were talking about, need to move from being consulted? You know, we're gonna do a focus group and then leave it at that, to actually being part of driving public policy.
So that's the hard part, right? So again, our job is to help build the infrastructure, help the communities build the infrastructure and the capacity. We have a lot of examples that we try to share with folks around how we move from young people just sitting at a table to actually being a part of the process, right? So one, in Louisville, we created what was it called? That was the action table. We had a group of young people that we brought together. It was like 24 young people, and part of it was they were part of the year-long implementation team, the youth implementation team. So they came together for 12 months. We trained them on some stuff, taught them some things, but then we put them in front of policymakers, right? So the mayor had to come and talk to them, the chief, superintendent, and then they proposed policies. And also, going back to the narrative thing, one of the things we did with that group the first year is work with the Courier Journal so that they can do op-eds, right? So they wrote op-eds in their own language over the course of the year. Yeah, it was really dope, right? And now we try to do that in every city we go into. Like, the ideal for us is, one, bring them to the table. Two, make sure that they're paid for their time.
Yes.
Three, you got to give them an infrastructure so that they can understand what it is they're doing. But then you got to put policymakers in front of them, right? And then you got to give them some space to learn, hear, and then give feedback. And then we went to Buffalo, and we helped them build out what they got an organization called Breaking Barriers, where they take in 14 to 24-year-olds into a fellowship, and then they get to do the same thing. They train them, they learn policy, they learn how to create policy, how to advocate policy. They look at the budget, they make recommendations, and they give that back, right? And I think, and then in Knoxville, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee,
where my daughter was born.
She was born in Knoxville, Tennessee. They created a thing called Change Center. So Andre on my team used to work with the mayor there. And they brought a bunch of young people together.
Was it Rogero?
Yes, Mayor Rogero.
She used to be my boss at the University of Tennessee.
I remember that. We made that connection with Mayor Rogero, and her team created, in partnership with the faith community and young people, created this thing called the Change Center. The young people said they needed a place to hang out. They needed a place that was safe. They needed a place where they could work. So they created this change center. It had a skating rink inside of it. It had a rock climbing wall.
Oh,
Had a concession stand. And at the concession stand, young people can work for 6 months to get their work, build their work
okay,
stuff.
yeah.
And then she worked with their transportation to make sure that every young person could get there from the community, right? And I think the Change Center is still up and running. It's still a powerful thing.
Okay.
And then in Denver, they created what they had a youth action table. And the youth action table came together monthly to do the same thing, look at policy, look at things, make recommendations, and be a part of the strategy. So you got to put the infrastructure together.
Yeah.
But you got to pay folks.
Yes.
Right? It's really, really clear to us that you got to pay. Like, so when we're doing this Leading the Way tour, those 15 young people that I told you we pull together, we bring them together for 3 days. First day they come together, it's really about 2 or 3 hours of them understanding what community violence is from a public health approach, understanding their ecosystem in their city, and then giving us feedback. And then the next day we bring them together with that ecosystem so that they can be a part of the conversation. We do a SWOT analysis, and then they present out with their teams.
Okay.
And then we do a community dinner where the young people get awards for being a part of the process. We pay them all $500 for being in the space. And then if they want, they get to talk about what they learned along the process. And what we have learned, and then also this year at the convening, we selected a group of young people from each of the cities to come to the convening. So we pay for them to come here, we put them up in the hotel, pay for the flights, and then we're also giving them another stipend for their time because they were there, just like everybody else who was on the clock, so they deserve to get paid. So for us, it's just embedded in our DNA.
Okay.
And most cities we go into, all cities we go into, you need young people at the table. Some have it, some don't. A lot of them just find it hard to navigate. I don't know what it is about people who don't know how to do engage young folks. It's just really my fault.
Because you were one. It may have been a long time ago.
Most of these folks come from youth development.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's like y'all done this shit before. So why would they not be at this table, right? Excuse my language on your podcast. I don't know if cuss is allowed. But it just blows my mind. It's like you're talking about saving lives of young people, but you don't have young people at the table.
Yes.
So when we say it, it's like mind blowing to them that they don't. So they try to figure it out.
Yes.
Last place I'll talk to you about, you was talking about Jackson, Mississippi. Yes. We just got an email from a sister who runs their office, and she wants to recreate. We had a national young leader fellowship where we took 18 to 24-year-old young black men and boys, men and women, into a fellowship. It was a 6 to 8 month fellowship. We traveled 3 times a year. They got to be a part of our process. Some of them ended up working for Cities United.
Oh, wow.
Some of them on my advisory board. But we just discontinued that or sunsetted it. So we wanted to take a deeper dive with the young people who were working with each other jurisdiction. But they want to replicate that model.
Okay.
We think it's important for them to travel.
Yes.
We think it's important for them to get paid. We think it's important for them to be in the rooms. So how do you create that space city by city by city? So we're trying to figure that out. And it's a journey.
Yes.
It's a journey, but we're getting there.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. I want to ask these questions before we go on break. No, because you actually answered 2 of them already. No, you know what? We're going to go ahead and go on break and then come back and we'll close out with the last 2 questions, and then I'll hand the mic over to you if you have any questions for me.
Okay, good to know.
All right, y'all. We'll be right back with Ask Attica.
Hey guys, before we get back to the live stream, I'm Tracy, the bartender at Southern Hospitality Bar and Grill, located at 3402 West Broadway. You guys got to come and check us out. You can call your order in, and the phone number is 502-822-1474. Again, I'm Tracy, the bartender at Southern Hospitality. Come check us out, guys.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Ask Attica with my very special guest, Mr. Anthony Smith, Executive Director of Cities United. So we're going to close out, Anthony, with my last question to you, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to you to see if you have any questions for me. This is where I get nervous.
Don't get nervous.
Right. So can you share maybe 3 practical steps of how we move from reducing violence to building safe, healthy, and hopeful communities?
Yeah, I think the one step is we've got to call it what it is, right? We talk about what's taking place as criminal. We talk about what's taking place as uh, violence, or however you frame it, right? I think so. The way for me is that we gotta talk about this as an epidemic that's impacting Black communities, right? We got to look at it from a public health approach, right? We got to move from law and criminalizing to more around looking at the root causes, understanding the issues, and understanding the people who are most impacted by it, right? I think there's another thing that we've got to do is get to a place where we recognize these young men and women as humans, right? I think because they're Black folks and we're talking about Black kids, we are quick to dismiss this as they just whatever you want to say, and most people, and not even just white folks. I think Black folks got to change the way we think about this issue too. We've got to get to a place where we have more empathy and more understanding that just because you might have made it, doesn't mean those opportunities were set for this everybody. We're talking about young people who don't have a lot of options and choices, and then we're not providing for them. Then what are we going to do? And I think the third thing for me is that I don't think people believe this can be solved adequately, and it can be prevented. It can be solved. We are in the process. We were in Toledo again, talking to a deputy mayor Arnold there, and she asked a question that has really been on my heart and mind for the last little bit. She said, "Why do we only talk about reducing homicides instead of eradicating or eliminating?" So I'm like, I think that's what we should be working toward. Because if we only believe we can reduce them, what we're saying is that we're okay with living with this. And I think if we move from reduction to eradication, we put different systems in place. We have a different level of energy around this thing. Like we want to eliminate cancer. We want to eliminate any other illness. Why do we want to eliminate this? Do we not see it as an illness? Do we not see it as a public health crisis? We worked hard. We shut down the world to make sure people didn't get COVID. Why would we not do the same thing here?
That's right.
Right. So those are the things that I think about a lot. Is around this ideal of like how we talk about this issue and and how we talk about the people who are impacted by it. But then two, how we invest our resources and moving this issue, but what do we really believe is possible? And I don't believe as a country and as communities, we believe we can stop this, but I think we can.
We can.
And I think if we work hard enough and we put the right things in place, a homicide happening shouldn't be such an anomaly and such a tragedy that we stop everything. Right now, we don't stop shit when kids die. We just move on. It's a news blur. We get mad that the police are trying to clean up the scene because it's interrupting our day. When this family now has to deal with that crisis for the rest of their lives, right? So I just think there's a different way, and I don't think we are all in the same boat, but I think we can get there.
We can get there, and I appreciate Cities United for helping to lead that work. I think about you talked about we don't necessarily think about ending or eradicating. So where I work full time, we do a lot with the Poor People's Campaign. They don't say we want to like have poverty not be as bad as it is. We want to end poverty.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's the bottom line. There is no in between. There's no negotiation. We want to end poverty.
And if you end poverty, you end community violence.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
So why would we not want to end all of the things that are bad?
Exactly. Yes.
Which is wild. So
it is, but we will get there, and we will get there together.
Absolutely.
As my dear sister, Councilwoman Shamika Parrish Wright says. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you now. This is the part of the conversation that is Ask Attica. So do you have any questions you want to ask me?
I think I have one.
Okay.
And this is a question I ask everybody everywhere I go.
Okay.
What is your definition of public safety?
Ooh, what is my definition of public safety? I immediately go to funding law enforcement to over police communities like mine.
Wow. What would your ideal definition of public safety be?
My ideal definition would be all of us working together to take care of one another.
Yeah.
That's the safety, and that's the public part of it.
Yeah, love that. Love that. We'll end with that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
all
so
I got
much.
for you. Thank
All
you.
right, I appreciate you.
Thanks for
being
having me. I
here.
appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, thanks for tuning in, y'all. We'll see you next time on Ask Attica. As always, thank you to Black Coffee for being so gracious to allow us to host the podcast here, and of course to Stay Live Streams for hosting the Ask Attica podcast on its Facebook and YouTube Live. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Hey y'all, I'm Attica Scott, former Kentucky State Representative.
They're asking me about everything, local, state, federal, all the time. How do I do this? How do I do that? Why can't I get a speed hump? What's going on with the consent decree? Hey y'all, welcome to Ask Attica. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning.